A front porch camera recorded the silence. It was a small plastic eye mounted near the door. The camera was always on. It watched the quiet street. It saw neighbors walk their dogs. It saw the mail carrier arrive each day. On this night, it saw something else. There was no sound at first, just the gentle hum of the suburban evening. Then, the home's alarm system blared into the night. The camera kept rolling. In the stark, black and white of its night vision, a small shape lay on the ground. It was a child. He was not moving. This single chilling piece of footage is where the story of Leo Morales begins. This was not a hidden crime in a dark alley. It happened in plain sight. It happened on a residential street. The camera captured the moments that followed. It showed a car pulling up fast. A woman, Leo's mother, jumped out. She ran to the small body on the ground. Her cries broke the night's quiet. Leo Morales was 11 years old. He had a shy smile and a love for soccer. His friends from school said he was quiet but kind. He always shared his snacks at lunch. He lived in a small single-story house on Ferrell Way. The street was lined with trees, well-kept lawns. It was the kind of place where kids rode their bikes until the streetlights came on. Leo lived there with his mother and his father. He was their only child. His room was filled with superhero posters, stacks of comic books. He was just a boy, living a boy's life. His family knew him as a bright and gentle soul. His mother, who worked at a local hospital, often spoke of his curiosity. He wanted to be a video game designer when he grew up. He spent hours sketching characters in a notebook. His father, Marvin Morales, was a former deputy with the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office. Neighbors saw him as a protective figure. From the outside, they looked like any other family on the block. There were no visible signs of trouble. The Elk Grove Police Department held a press conference the next morning. The chief of police stood at a podium. He spoke in a measured, somber tone. He confirmed the death of an 11-year-old boy. He did not use Leo's name at first. He described the initial response. He said officers arrived at the 7600 block of Ferrell Way following a 911 call. They found the child with serious injuries. The chief stated that the investigation was active and ongoing. The police said they were looking for a suspect. They mentioned that the boy's father, Marvin Morales, had left the scene before officers arrived. This detail immediately became the focus of media attention. The police did not offer a motive. They did not label him a person of interest or a suspect in that first briefing. This created a vacuum of information. Speculation began to fill the void. It was revealed that there had been a police pursuit. This pursuit ended in an officer-involved shooting. The California Highway Patrol was brought in to investigate that separate incident. The suspect in the pursuit was Marvin Morales. The separate investigations created a confusing picture. The Elk Grove Police Department also announced that one of their own detectives had been placed on paid administrative leave. The official story felt incomplete, beginning and end stated, but the middle a fog of procedural language and unanswered questions. The official timeline of events felt disjointed. There were strange gaps. The mother saw her son on the camera at a specific time. Police were dispatched. Marvin Morales left the house. A pursuit began. An officer-involved shooting occurred, but the precise timing did not seem to line up. How long was the gap between Morales leaving and police arriving? Did any officers interact with him before he fled? One major gap was the initial 911 call. Who made the call? The mother, a neighbor. Who heard the alarm? Or a disturbance? Police did not release the audio, often done to protect caller privacy. But in this case, that silence was deafening. He was a former law enforcement officer. That fact changed the investigation's dynamic. Without answers, fear and mistrust filled the gaps. Section 5. The Whispers on Ferrell Way. While the police offered a controlled narrative, the residents of Ferrell Way told a different story. Their accounts were not official. They were fragmented and based on what they saw and heard from their homes. One neighbor, an elderly woman who was up late watching television, said she heard shouting. It was not just a brief argument, angry and sustained. It was a man's voice, full of rage. She could not make out the words, but the tone frightened her. Another neighbor, a young father in his garage, saw a car leave the Morales house at high speed. The car ran a stop sign at the end of the street. He told an officer what he saw, unsure if it was taken seriously. A teenager said he saw Mr. Morales get into his car, and a police cruiser parked at the corner with its lights off. The cruiser did not move until after Mr. Morales drove away. Then, Its lights flashed on and it followed. If true, this contradicted the official story that Morales left before any officers arrived. Section 6. A pattern of tragedy. As Leo's story gained attention, people began to connect it to other tragic cases involving children. In New York, an 11-year-old girl named Monica Goods was killed during a police pursuit. A state trooper rammed her family's car, causing it to flip. Prosecutors alleged the trooper used his car as a deadly weapon, then tried to blame the girl's father. That case was filled with allegations of excessive force, a cover-up. Another case came to mind from West Virginia. An 11-year-old girl died of starvation. CPS had visited multiple times before her death, yet not enough was done. In Oregon, a 16-year-old with disabilities died. Advocates said the state's Human Services Agency failed him and called its inquiry a public relations exercise. These stories formed a dark backdrop to Elk Grove. They showed Leo's case was not isolated. It was part of a larger, troubling pattern. When a child dies, especially with agencies involved, the path to truth is complicated. Allegations of cover-ups, grieving families fighting for answers, reports that obscure more than they reveal. Section 7. In the modern world, every event leaves a digital echo. Our phones, our cars, our homes are constantly creating data. This data can tell a story. In Leo's case, the digital ghost of that night held the potential for real answers. Investigators could look at cell tower data, showing locations of Marvin Morales' phone, his wife's phone, phones of any officers at the scene, beyond cell towers, vehicle data and event data recorders, like a black box, speed, location, whether brakes were applied. The most important digital evidence might be body camera and dash camera footage. The public called for its immediate release. What was on that footage? Did it support the official story or show something else entirely? Section 8. While digital evidence creates a map of events, forensic science tells the story of the physical world. At the house on Ferrell Way, a team of forensic investigators would have collected evidence: fingerprints, footprints, fibers, blood tests. In a case involving multiple stab wounds, placement and nature of the evidence would be critical. Determine where the attack happened, what kind of weapon was used, whether there was a struggle. The most crucial piece is the medical examiner's report: cause of death, number and location of wounds, estimated time of death. Those findings map to the camera alert and dispatch logs. Vehicle forensics could settle who hit whom and how. Yet, in the weeks that followed, a profound forensic silence. No preliminary findings, no autopsy summary, no vehicle analysis details. Frustration mounted. Section 9. The silence from official channels did not quiet the community. It did the opposite. It amplified the calls for transparency. Local activists organized a town hall, inviting the mayor, the city council, the chief of police. Residents spoke, tense but resolute, about being kept in the dark. A central demand was the release of all body camera and dash camera footage. The chief warned release could compromise the case. For the crowd, it wasn't enough. Many called for an independent investigation. Potential conflicts required outside eyes. Leo's mother asked for truth, not politics. Her quiet request reminded everyone what mattered most. Petitions gathered thousands of signatures. Letters to the editor pressed officials. Rebuilding trust would start with transparency and answers. Section 10. Ultimately, this story is not about police procedure or media strategy. It is about a boy who will never turn 12. Leo Morales loved soccer, drawing superheroes. He was a son, a friend, and a neighbor. The search for answers is about honoring the value of his life. Finding the truth is the most basic form of justice we can offer him. What happened before the alarm? Why did a former officer flee? Did the response follow protocol? Were mistakes made? Was evidence hidden? Or was the case simply slow and complex? If there were failures, reform. If a cover-up, accountability. If a crime, a trial. We must use every digital and forensic tool, support independent oversight, listen to witnesses, and keep asking until answers come. For Leo, and for every child whose safety depends on the integrity of those in power.